Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first item is the minutes of this committee's meeting held Monday, December 13th, and the recommendations to approve those minutes.
Approval.
Second. Moved by Councillor Lynch, seconded by Councillor Robinson. All in favor? Unanimous.
Item 2 concerns an authorization for an issuance of a development permit for 1500 Lougheed Highway. This is for a new Ministry of Transportation office building. Staff recommendations to approve the signing and sealing of this DP and that the Mayor and City Clerk be authorized to execute it.
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Lynch, seconded by Councillor Nicholson. Discussion? Councillor Lynch.
So this is something we knew was coming forward, and I understand there's quite a significant variance to go to a 4-story building, and there seems to be no concerns raised by staff. Is that correct?
Mr. Leva?
Yes, Madam Chair, that is correct.
Short answer, okay. Of course, the thing that I zeroed in right away, and I'm pleased to, and hope we can do this, it talks about accommodating up to 650 additional jobs for the city, and I'm wondering, I'm not thinking that's going to be initially the startup amount of jobs. Do we know how that's going to incrementally evolve?
Yes, Madam Chair, just I guess following up on that, the height variance as well. This is a significant building. It is a very, very attractive office building. Government office, a very attractive entry to the city, and we're very happy with the design, and we feel the context does warrant the type of building in terms of the 4 stories. It is also the design. The height is driven by the design, but also the floodplain elevation as well as the nature of the office component. In terms of the sorry, the second question, Councillor Lynch.
The second question had to do with the jobs. And
yes.
How many we start off at?
Yes. The building occupancy, the maximum theoretical capacity is, I believe, 600 plus jobs. That obviously that would be the long-term theoretical. We don't have specific information on the determination of the floor plan or the final functions of the government offices and also the tolling component. So we'll. At this point, we don't have a specific number of jobs that will be developed in the initial phase. Obviously, things like the available parking, as well as the total number of consolidated government functions in this building will drive the total number. We could certainly request additional information from BCTFA in terms of the preliminary assessment and bring that back to Council should committee forward that.
Yeah, that'd be very much appreciated, and I'd just like to also state that I was really pleased that we were able to secure this facility in Coquitlam. I know there was other cities that may have had the opportunity to get this, and I think that as a city we need to be looking at where we can perhaps bring in more government locations. There's a lot of job out there, it's employment, and if we can secure that in the city of Coquitlam, it'd be a benefit to our city and also to our residents for future jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I concur with that. Would you be able to get that information for us for a council meeting, the next council meeting?
Yes, Madam Chair, yes.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Robinson.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions and a couple of comments. I also had a bit of reaction to the height variance. It's like, whoa. So it's bigger than me. It's bigger than a lot of people. But as I continued to read through the report, there was some commentary on, I guess, some green design stuff. And I'm just wanting to know in the context of green and built environment, where does this stand? Are they using certain standards or what does that mean?
Madam Chair, yes, the building is designed to a very, very high standard, including LEED. There's a LEED standard. It will have a green roof deck, which means that there will have substantial greening of that space for water retention, for cooling, and other benefits, including use of natural materials. So there's a whole range of performance standards that you need to meet to achieve LEED standard.
Okay, thank you.
Just in terms of a follow-up comment, because this is a text amendment to the service commercial zone, that's really the why the height in the standard zone is only a 2-story. Typically, service commercial doesn't achieve higher number of levels because of, in this case, we have an office building that we've allowed in that zone as a site-specific.
That's a helpful explanation. Thank you. Given that it's an iconic building and it's going to be a gateway building, is there an opportunity to get a welcome to Coquitlam sign? as part of the space? Is there any way that we could, I mean, if it's going to be an entranceway into our community, is there an opportunity to remind people where they've arrived at our
Well,
city?
Madam Chair, I wouldn't mind having those discussions with the province. We could certainly look at the guidelines that determine where our entry signs are located and whether this would be an appropriate location. We could follow up with some information to committee on that matter.
I would really like it if you would be able to do that for us. I think that would be really helpful. The last question, and I don't know exactly the relationship with the Como Creek watershed. Is this on that watershed? I don't know how far out that goes. I'm just trying to, because I know that watershed's a challenged one, and I guess in a wishful kind of way, I was wondering if there would be an opportunity to help that watershed out a little bit, but I don't know if it captures that area.
I'm not sure, Madam Chair, if it is within that watershed. All of the environmental watershed and drainage management issues have been handled through the Gateway program. In this case, this site is part of that whole program. But there have been no issues in that regard.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anybody else? Councillor Nicholson.
I think it's a great idea to have a welcome to Coquitlam sign, as long as it's not adjacent to the one that says thank you for the toll. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Stewart.
Could always say, welcome to Coquitlam, a place worth paying to get to.
Did you have something else to say?
No.
Mayor? Okay.
Lots of other things, but no.
All right, the motion has been moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Carries. Thank you.
Item 3 pertains to a conservation permit for 4104 Cedar Drive and surrounding property is located between Devon and Freemont Streets. The staff recommendation is that Council approve the issuance of this conservation permit, Phase 1, with conditions to COMAD Communications located at 4104 Cedar Drive.
Move the recommendation.
Moved by Councillor Nicholson. Is there a seconder?
Second.
Second, Councillor Lynch. Discussion? Councillor Robinson.
I just want a clarification. This one has vague memories of it. Was this the one where we had a stop work order on? Okay, thank you.
I'm just wondering if staff can elaborate about the consulting companies that have been brought on, et cetera, please. Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair. So this conservation permit before the committee is essentially to seek approvals by the applicants to undertake the first phase of essentially a filling program for the 6 properties in question. This is essentially pursuant to approvals granted previously by the Agricultural Land Commission to develop an equestrian agricultural community. There's been a previous watercourse development permit also issued for the properties. So this really is the conservation permit to follow up on those approvals and initiate the first filling phase. There's going to be 3 filling phases. There has been a substantial amount of communication and work between the applicants and city staff, and we have secured a number of commitments, including erosion and sediment control plans, letters of undertaking from hydrogeological, civil, environmental consultants to ensure that there's significant oversight on the filling of these sites. The permit that's before committee has limitations in terms of the time, so there's a 12-month window that's been identified, as well as the time of truckloads that can operate. So we do have quite a bit of comfort in terms of the commitments that have been put in place now and the controls in terms of the submissions from the consulting companies that are working for the applicant. We're quite comfortable moving this forward. Should any issues arise, we would have subsequent opportunities to review the performance. There's going to be subsequent soil conservation permits. This is the first phase. There's going to be 2 more. There would also be subsequent watercourse development permits as well, because of the magnitude of the area that we're talking about. as well as subsequent approvals from the Agricultural Land Commission that will be required to seek which the applicant will have to secure in terms of the actual home sites themselves, as well as the access road into the area. So there's a number of opportunities that we will have to look at the performance on this area.
Thank you. And I just wanted to confirm that the proponent is okay with the 1 year, given they're going to take 10 months to complete. I was wondering about the winter weather, that's all.
Yes, Madam Chair, we have had quite a bit of discussion with the applicant, and the 12-month timeline has been set as a reasonable time for them to complete the Phase 1 filling.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? Councillor Robinson.
Yeah, thank you. I'm assuming the hours of operation for materials right now are listed as Monday to Friday, 7 to 5. No work on the weekends. I'm assuming that includes holidays. So holiday Mondays would be like a Sunday or like a weekend?
Yes, Madam Chair, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. I had a couple of other questions.
Okay.
Has to do with monitor and controlling around the erosion and sediment control and monitoring. I know that in the Northeast we've had some ongoing challenges, and I guess what I'm looking for is some assurance that we have a real solid plan on how to do that, how to stop things if it looks like things aren't working the way they're supposed to. I don't know if you could speak to that.
Yes, Madam Chair. We have been constantly improving our erosion and sediment control process over the last 6 months, just because we've had a few issues with a number of sites in the Northeast in particular. However, the larger sites like this give us a bit of a better opportunity to manage sediment and erosion control because just the magnitude of sites that we're dealing with. But we do have an approved sediment and erosion control plan for the site. We have a letter of undertaking from the consulting engineer to monitor that plan, make sure it's performing, and that there's an obligation to monitor that over the period of the project. So we will be looking at that over time, but we're pretty comfortable that because of the size of the properties we're dealing with, we'll be able to manage that.
Thank you. I have one last question. It has to do with the Agricultural Land Commission approval process. And it says that there are a bunch of conditions and that they've been generally met. And I'm just trying to get a sense of what generally met means.
Madam Chair, the conditions from the Agricultural Land Commission have been met. We're just finalizing obtaining the letter of approval from them because of the holiday season.
Okay.
But we are going to be getting that, and prior to the actual permit being issued, we'll get a copy of their formal letter.
So this is just about paperwork not
That's
making
correct.
its way through the
Yes.
pipe. Okay, thank you. That's it for me.
All right, thank you. Mr. McIntyre.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. If I could, just picking up on some of the comments that are made. With the conservation permit, these are terms and conditions that staff are recommending. We've worked it out with the applicant and their consultants. But if there's some questions or concerns of council that you want to provide further direction, they can be worked into that. Like, for example, and I was just checking with Jason on this, just to be absolutely clear on the site, site silt and sediment control and the process of that. Maybe there's a construction startup meeting where actually staff meet with the consultants in the field and just everyone starts on the same page. So there's that absolute clarity and certainty at the start. So if the committee was to look for that, that could be something that could be recommended onto council.
I'll move that one, whatever he said.
Okay, is there a seconder? Councillor Nicholson? Discussion about that? All in favor? Opposed? Carries. Thank you. All right, moving to the main motion. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4 concerns the 5% provision of parkland pursuant to Section 941 of the Local Government Act, and this is for a proposed subdivision at 722 Grover Avenue. Staff recommendations that the owner of this proposed subdivision provide 5% cash in lieu in order to address these provisions of the LGA.
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Lynch, seconded by Councillor Robinson. Discussion? Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Item 5 is the minutes of the Maillardville Commercial and Cultural Revitalization Task Force meeting of Thursday, December 2nd. Staff recommendations to receive these minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Robinson, seconded by Councillor Lynch. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
We have 2 items for the committee's consideration arising out of that meeting. The first one concerns the 5-year action plan. The task force recommends that council approve the task force 5-year work plan for the years 2011 to 2015.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Lynch, seconded by Councillor Nicholson. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
5.2 pertains to the Maillardville core commercial area, and this is potential development incentives, or actually pertaining more to the invitation of a presentation of Maillardville's history in the council chambers. Sorry?
Mover for this
move a bit.
recommendation? Moved by Councillor Nicholson, seconded by Councillor Lynch. Discussion? Councillor Nicholson?
Nope, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Ahead of myself.
All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Yeah.
Much smoother than it looks.
Sorry, it is the right title area. Just evidently was a broad-reaching discussion at that task force meeting.
Right.
Item 6 concerns the draft minutes of the Tri-Seas Homelessness Task Group meeting held Friday, December 3rd, and the recommendations to receive those minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Robinson, seconded by Councillor Lynch. All in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's the last formal item on this agenda.
Oh, we're quick. Not even 20 minutes. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Councillor Lynch, seconded by Councillor Robinson. All in favor? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Clearly, some people can hear a meeting.